Hi, I'm Barbara with Travel Tips and Info and Social Seaglass, and today I'm going to tell you the best places to find sea glass at Siem, England. Siem is best known for this kind of glass. It's famous for multis and bubbles and all shades and colors and sizes because there used to be a glass factory there 100 years ago, and they would shove all the glass at the end of the day off the cliffs into the sea. So after 100 years of being tumbled around, this is the end result, and sea glass hunters from all over the world flock to Siem Beach just for these little treasures. First, I'm going to go over the tools that you're going to need that will best help you be successful. I always bring a flashlight with me. It has to be a high-powered LED light unless you want to use your phone, but if you use your phone, you're going to get it full of sand and salt and all kinds of other nasty stuff. The second thing you need is a good, sturdy little rake, one that you can hold in your hand, because these rocks will start tearing up your hands after a while, and you want to be able to get underneath them to find every little piece you can. We tend to go there in October, November, so it's very cold and windy because there are fewer people there and you get more storms, which brings in the better glass. So I always bring a set of fingerless gloves with me to keep my hands warm, but you can still pick at the little pieces of glass that you find. The last thing I recommend is a small bucket. This one is collapsible, so it fits in your suitcase easily, and it's big enough to fit what you could find in a day. I will have links to all of these items on Amazon in the description of the video. Depending on where you're coming from, there are several ways to get to Siem. I usually fly into London. I live in the States, and then I take trains up. But this time I met my cousin who lives in Holland, and we took the ferry over to Newcastle, which was really a lot of fun. Then once we got to Newcastle, we took the train to Siem, and then we were able to walk to the Airbnb that we stay at. We always stay at the same one. The people are really nice, and it's a relatively short walk to the beach. You can find a link to the Airbnb as well as some other information in a blog that I wrote on this subject on my Seaglass website, which is soulshells.com. That link will also be in the description of this video. When we come to Siem, we usually stay for about 10 days. This is the view that we have in the morning when we walk to the beach. We walk through town. It's about a mile and a half. This is a World War I monument that we pass, and the scenery is just beautiful. We like to get there early because, first of all, there are fewer people on the beach, and you always want to be the first one there so that you can get what was brought in from low tide the night before. So this is a view from at the top of the bluff, and there are a couple ways down. There's a little staircase that we take to get down to a service road. That's the staircase right there, and then there's a service road that goes along the beach that has various ramps that you can get down onto the beach from there. So that makes it a little bit easier, and you have several options of where to go. That's the service road, and you can see the tide is really high in that picture. The other way to get down is at the northern end of the beach where Tanya's Cafe is, and then you can walk down these stairs and come down more in the middle of the beach. It was really windy when we were there, and keep in mind it was the end of October, and these videos are comprised of two trips that we took, one in October 2018 and then one in 2019. The glass was a lot better in 2018. This is the kind of piles of rocks we were dealing with then, and then in 2019 there were a lot fewer rocks. And when there are fewer rocks, there's less glass. So the glass hides in the pebbles and the rocks on the beach, so when you just see sand, that is not a good thing. We walked all the way to the northern end, which is where these little caves were that had some waterfalls in them, and we did find some glass in those big rocks at the very end. So there were these rows of pebbles like this up and down the beach, and you would just have to walk up and down each row, sometimes with a rake or the shovel or just looking with your eyes. But this is mostly what we saw, was just sand, and it was really windy, which was not fun. As the day progressed, more people came out, even though it was still windy, and we were able to still find some glass either way up at the top in the dry rocks or down as the tide was going out. There were even some brave souls trying to surf out there. I couldn't believe it. That water must have been freezing cold. The other place I was able to find some sea glass at low tide was around these rocks. You get a little bit wet, but most people are way up further on the beach. So I found some glass just sitting out on the sand, which was pretty amazing. The second beach that I want to tell you about is Siem Harbour Marina, which is further south from the Siem beach where everybody goes. You just go right to the end of this little road and there is a staircase down to the beach. There's also a ramp for part of it. And that beach is a little more dangerous. It's much smaller and the waves can get really high and the tide comes in really fast. There are also some drop-offs in the sand and the rocks that make it difficult to climb back up. But every now and then we find some glass. We found more in 2018 than in 2019. I found a really nice piece of sea glass there that was sort of a chartreuse greenish color. That's the ramp down to the beach. So this beach had a lot more rocks and pebbles on it, but way less glass. So the stuff that you're finding here is sort of things that have drifted off from Siem Beach. There's never a giant amount here, but we have found some really nice things. The tide comes up so fast. I was standing on the big rocks here when this big wave came, so I didn't get wet, but it made me realize if you want to get back to the staircase, you need to watch these waves coming in and watch the tide. The third beach I'm going to tell you about is called Blast Beach. It's also right next to Chemical Beach, and it's got a lot of nice bottle stoppers and bubbles that are the light aqua color is what it's known for, but it's got a really treacherous path down to the beach. It is very dangerous, especially if it's been raining. It's really slippery. Just a week after we were there, a woman was airlifted out from this beach for falling down that path. So we did find a pretty big bucket full of those bubbles and stoppers and partial stoppers when we were at Blast Beach. When you're tired of sea glass hunting, as if that could happen, you can take a look around Siem, the town. It's really beautiful. There is this church, which is one of the earliest Anglo-Saxon churches in existence, built in the late 7th, early 8th century. And it's just incredible. There was nobody around. We weren't able to get inside, but it's beautiful just to walk around the grounds. At the end of the day, we'd walk down the main street, which is closed to traffic, to the Hatton Feathers Pub, which is just delightful. It's got all kinds of beers on tap and hard cider and dishes of the day like curry, which I found interesting. But their food is really good. They're very friendly, and it's just nice to sit in a warm place, get some cold beer and warm food at the end of the day. So I'll leave you with this picture of what I thought were white pieces when I found them. And after I got home and put them on this white sheet, I noticed all the subtle colors that are in there. So the glass is just beautiful there. And I know it's on a lot of people's bucket list to go there and look for sea glass. And we have really enjoyed traveling there. However, be careful planning travel there and expecting too much, because in 2019 we were really disappointed and we ended up leaving after about 5 days and went to Spain instead, where we had much better luck. I hope you enjoyed this video on finding sea glass in Seaham, England, and if so, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. You can also find more information on traveltipsandinfo.com, which is my other website. Bon voyage and happy hunting!